Privacy is at the core of what makes us human. The ability to develop relationships, develop our own selves, requires us to determine the boundaries and the barriers in our lives.
This is Dr. Gus Hossain from Privacy International, a UK-based non-profit organisation that investigates and holds both governments and corporations accountable for any misuse of technology to exploit our personal data across the globe. Recently, they achieved a landmark victory in a case against the UK security service MI5.
And in our modern lives, what we find is that there's so many institutions, be corporate or government, or even adversarial friends and fraudsters, let's say, who are keen to make their way past our boundaries.
It was an unprecedented grab of personal data. One of the UK's largest communications firms not only handed over its own information to GCHQ, but also allowed access to the internet traffic of another telecoms company, passing on the data of millions of computer users worldwide.
Meta is facing the largest data protection fine ever issued under EU law.
Amazon has been hit with an $886.6 million European Union fine. It's for processing personal data in violation of the EU's General Data Protection Regulation, known as GDPR.
And so often when it comes to privacy online, our adversaries frame it as, oh, people are using the internet all the time and giving their information away. But that's not at all how it's happening. The grave threat to privacy today is the technology and the infrastructure that takes our data without even our knowledge.
People are producing more and more data, but no one knows what happens to this after that.
This is Betsy Jones, Proton's UK Communications Manager. Betsy led our recent commission of a report on attitudes towards privacy and security in the UK.
Once information is in the online world, you can't do anything about it, and it's stored on hundreds of servers from hundreds of service providers with a huge privacy and security risk attached to that.
People in the UK are increasingly feeling the painful consequences of lacking control over their online data.
Hundreds of thousands of British Airways passengers have had their bank details stolen in one of the biggest data breaches to hit a UK company.
The security operation will include facial recognition cameras, controversial technology.
Royal Mail's sorting offices were struck by a cyber attack, which left it unable to dispatch letters and parcels overseas.
The UK organisations experienced an average of 788 weekly cyber attacks across 2022. This marks a 77% increase from the year 2021.
We've commissioned a study of 2,000 adults in the UK to find out about their attitudes to privacy online. What we do know is that big tech's data practices are getting out of hand, but we wanted to find out what people thought about it, whether they're concerned about it, how they protect themselves online, and whether they think that this is a fair way of doing business. The main results of the report were that over 3/4 of people are worried about their data privacy online. Most people are worried about three main things. Firstly, their financial information being hacked or stolen. For obvious reasons, financial fraud is a massive risk. Secondly, their personal identification information. And thirdly, their login credentials for accessing online services.
What kind of data am I concerned about? Particularly financial, I think. That's probably one of the most important.
Data privacy, it's a thing that it's really important for me. I'm really concerned about my financial part to be leaked.
More than 2/3 of people would prefer to lose their passport than their email address.
Lose my email or my passport? That's actually an interesting one.
Oh, this is hard. I think that I rather lose my passport than my email account because it's easier to make another passport than lose your email account.
2/3 of people don't understand how online services use the data that they have on them.
I wouldn't know the exact ins and outs of it, but I know they can basically get your personal information and start sending you stuff.
I'm not really sure.
Well, the GDPR, I understand it to a degree.
And over half of people think that online services that are free but monetize their data is an unethical business model.
I do find that kind of a bit ominous that these cookies can detect that. Yeah, I do. I'm not comfortable entirely with that, no.
When asked how willing they were to take steps to protect their privacy, 83% of people said that they would act to protect their privacy online. The variety of responses shows that people don't have a singular, definitive solution for maintaining their personal privacy and security.
Yeah, at the moment I'm using like two-factor authentication, and also I'm thinking of using the hardware key, like YubiKey.
I just suppose I just do what I always do. I go by its own reputation. Just check what are they gaining from my information. All that. That's far. But there is more stuff I could be doing now. I suppose it's bad habits for me.
Absolutely. Once you've been a victim to it, anything to protect myself and my personal data.
What we're left with is a privacy paradox. People are concerned about their privacy being compromised and are willing to take action, but don't know how to take the steps to protect themselves.
People are concerned. People want agency. They want to be able to do something, and they actually, perhaps more often than not, they just want to be left alone. And so they don't want to be poked at, prodded, and surveilled as they just go around their daily lives. People want to not have to worry about these things. They want to build those boundaries again, because building those boundaries and expecting them to be respected is fundamental to the human condition.
So how can people protect themselves online and hold big tech accountable? Here are Proton's top tips to protect your privacy. Use strong, unique passwords and enable two-factor authentication to secure your accounts. A password manager is a must. Protect your real email address with email aliases so you don't give away your identity to all the websites that ask for it. Use a VPN and privacy-first browsers to avoid trackers and limit surveillance of your browsing activity. Use end-to-end encrypted services to keep your files and communications private and only accessible to you. Make sure your phone, laptop, and tablet are secure. Use a password or biometric authentication where available. Be vigilant. Never click on any links or download anything you don't completely trust or understand. Always make sure your software is up to date. Updates often contain security patches for recently discovered vulnerabilities.
Companies really need to show people the risks of what happens to their data online, but also how to protect themselves. People aren't products, and they should have control over the data that they produce online.
While there are steps individuals can take to protect themselves, the real responsibilities lie with the companies who perpetuate the problem. There are clear steps big tech needs to take. Set new industry standards. We hear a lot of talk from tech companies claiming to be private, but for a truly private internet to emerge, there need to be standards that online businesses uphold. Give people back control over their own data. People should be able to choose what happens to their data, and if they decide to share it with an organization, they should receive compensation. Change the business model. The internet is crucial to communicate, and many people rely on it to earn a living. Forcing people to subject themselves to surveillance just to use the internet violates their right to privacy. We need new business models and a wholesale shift in the way the internet works.
Proton is a technology company that specialises in end-to-end encrypted services. We think that privacy and security is a fundamental human right.
Join the millions of people and organisations who protect their data with Proton Mail, Calendar, Drive and VPN. Because everyone deserves privacy by default.